So students, welcome to the part 3 of particle accelerators, and we had been doing the cyclotron, and we saw that in a cyclotron we have a D-shaped two electrodes which is like a case. That means here it's not empty, we have a case like this actually. So that means this has got a breadth like this, and the flat sizes are facing each other. Each of the Ds, if I call them D1 and D2, they are connected to two poles of two terminals of an AC source, and it's like this. And over and above this, that means since I have applied the AC, if one side is positive, the other will be negative, and if the one is negative, the other will be positive, and so on. And then in addition, there is a magnetic field applied. Magnetic field, if the north pole is in the front, then the south pole will be on the back like this. So it is perpendicular to the plane of this screen. So what happens is that when a particle enters, suppose this one like this, a particle is injected like this, it enters this D, suppose it's a positive particle. So what will happen is that since there is a magnetic field applied to perpendicular to it, you see this is a magnetic field applied to the perpendicular to the this, then what happens that if the magnetic field is applied in this direction, that means then the particle will come this way, because you know that charged particle, when a magnetic field is applied, it moves in a circular path perpendicular to that magnetic field. That means if I have got a magnetic field applied like this, the charged particle will move in a circular path around the field. So here the field is perpendicular to the plane of the paper. As a result, what will happen is that it will come like this. So it comes and reaches here, and when it reaches here along this direction, there is no acceleration, it just moves in a circular path. And when it reaches here, just like in the case of the linear accelerator, the frequency of this AC source is such that when this completes and comes here, the polarity is changed. So first, suppose this was a negative, due to which this charged particle had jumped here, it becomes, by the time the charged particle reaches this end, this becomes positive and this becomes negative. So as a result, what happened? The charged particle jumps from here to here. So in jumping, same as in the previous case, it experiences a force which is equal to the Q into the electric field like this. So as a result, what happens? It gains energy, and so it moves it gains acceleration, and so it will move in a circular path of greater circle. Why it will move in a circular path? Because here too there is a magnetic field, because the magnetic field is acting along this whole, over this whole area. So as a result, what happens? This part will move in a radius of a larger circle than the previous one. So again it reaches here, and then again it goes on like this and like this. So it goes like this and like this, and after a large number of circular path, it gets accelerated at each gap while going from here to here, and again coming here, again coming like this. So it gains a lot of energy, kinetic energy, and it comes out, and there is some sort of a method, an external magnetic field, which guides the particle this way, and it attacks the target. So this is a very basic principle of the cyclotron, but then just as in the case of linear accelerator, there should be some kind of mathematical expression which relates the AC frequency used with the charged particles, different parameters of the charged particles. So we will just take a look at these mathematical expressions and like this. Let me find some space out here. Okay, let me just clear the whole board. Okay, so the time taken by the charged particle to traverse the semicircular path must be equal to the t. This is t is equal to what? It definitely has to be what? Since it's a semicircular path, it is half the circumference, so it will be pi r divided by the velocity of the particle, like this. But then when a charged particle moves in a circular path, we know what is like this. What is r? R is the Larmor radius. We know that it moves with a circular radius of r is equal to, we know that r is equal to m v by bq. I suppose you remember this. So when a charged particle of charge q and mass m traveling with velocity v moves in a magnetic field B, then its radius is given by this, which is called the Larmor radius. So this is the Larmor radius. So obviously when v increases, because in the gaps the particles get accelerated, definitely r will also increase, and that's why we can see why its radius is increasing. So this is the time taken. Time taken is this much, and what will happen is that then the time period, therefore time period for a complete circular path, because we have seen this only for a half circular path, half circle. This was the time for a half circle. If I call it tau, this is equal to 2 times of t, and it is just equal to twice pi r by v, and this must be equal to the time period of oscillation of the AC circuit. So t is equal to twice pi r by v. So I can say that tau is equal again 1 by f. So 1 by f is equal to twice pi r by v, and we know what is v. Sorry, what is r? R is mv by bq, like this. So that the frequency can be written as, what is the frequency? Frequency would be bvq upon twice pi. Obviously the v will go up, and we will have twice pi m. So it is bq by twice pi m. which turns out to be, okay, let's not see what it turns out to be. So this is the relation between frequency and the magnetic field. You see, that means for a cyclic oscillator like a cyclic accelerator like a cyclotron, you see there is a relation between what the frequency of the oscillator would be in relation to the magnetic field, the charge and the mass. The charge and the mass are constant quantities, but you see there is a relation between F and B like this. So this is how the synchronous activity between the charged particle and the change. You have the charged particle, once started it will go on moving. So when we adjust this according to this relation, the F and the B magnetic field, you will see that this will follow this kind of a path like this. So this happens, and this is how a cyclotron works. Now a cyclotron has got many advantages in relation to the linear accelerator, and I'll share those materials. Please go through the materials. Now I move on to the third type of accelerator, which is called the Van de Graaff generator. So Van de Graaff generator. So it's also called a Van de Graaff generator, not just accelerator. So the basic principle of the Van de Graaff generator is something called the corona discharge. You also know as this as action of points. Actually, action of points. It's a very simple principle of the electrostatic force of repulsion. So here we will look at the construction, how a Van de Graaff generators works. So the Van de Graaff generator, actually I'll give the very basic principle of it like this. The very basic principle of a Van de Graaff generator is like this. There are these two wheels, they act as the two wheels of a pulley, and this one is a rubber belt. It is moved over these two wheels. Now so by some kind of an arrangement, mechanical arrangement, this pulleys move so that the wheels move in this direction. Sorry, not the wheels, these belts move above this, around these wheels in this direction, goes up and then down like this. And here are two metallic combs, and this one, the first one at the bottom, is fixed to a high source of high positive or negative voltage. I'll tell you what it is, whether it's positive or negative. First, let us imagine that this is put at a very high positive voltage. So definitely this will be high positive, and what is done is that when a very high positive voltage is applied to this comb, which I called as C1 and this one as C2, so what will happen is that I think you know that if I have a object like this and an object like this, accumulation of charge is more at the pointed end, and that is the main principle behind a lightning conductor. So charged particles, positive charges, will collect at the ends of these combs. As a result, what happens? The positive charge, there will be a large accumulation, so they'll be repelled and they will be sprayed on this belt, and they will be carried upwards like this. They will reach here, and then they will produce a negative charge here, which will be the negative charge because of electrostatic induction.